Om Shanti. Aloha once again, friends and family. Who can afford to be spiritually lazy? And what does that mean? What is spiritual lazy? See, in the NPC world, the NPCs are hyper intellectual or hyper mental. You might hear one of them say, I go to college. I have 2 jobs. I do this on Wednesdays, I do this on Fridays, and I still have time to go to my organized religious gathering on Sunday or Saturday. And so these type of folks would think that they were spiritually up to date, spiritually active. But it's all mental. It's all mental. Busyness, it's called. And see if the avatar's ego can keep the avatar in busyness, it will never realize that it's actually spiritually lazy. You got people out there that would say, I teach at college. Others would say, I run a business. I have 50 employees. I have meetings, etc., etc. And then when they do have some free time, what are they going to do with it? They're going to get busy. We're going to Cancun. We're going to be on the big ship. We're going to be at the free bar. And we're going to be spinning those slot machines and slapping those cards down. And then it'll be my birthday, and then it'll be Christmas, and then it'll be Halloween, and then it'll be time to pop fireworks again on the 4th. And so they're very busy, distracting themselves from their spiritual life. The spiritual life. What is the spiritual life? How is it different? intuiting what that bird is saying right now. That's part of the spiritual life. Hearing that cow that just mooed is part of the spiritual life. Tuning in with the vibration that is ever present is part of spiritual life. Seeing the different hues of green, taking note of which ones are being struck by the rays of the sun and which ones are falling into shadow, that's part of the spiritual life. Allowing all that head consciousness to settle down into the heart consciousness is part of the spiritual life. Being able to detach from the thoughts of the mind and abide at the 0 point in the heart of stillness, quiet, and solitude, that's part of the spiritual life. Taking time every day to meditate, whether it's for 5 minutes or 5 hours, that's part of the spiritual life. And then allowing memories to come up in that center point so that they could be the thing focused on that could hold the attention. What would such thoughts be? Remembering that we forgive everybody that's trespassed against us. Because nobody's keeping account or holding a record of our trespasses. How is that so? Because karma has been reconciled. See, if you're no longer creating negative karma that's going to have to be reconciled, whether now or later, then you have a level of freedom that most people don't even know about. Because that was one of the cycles, or we could say that's part of the cycle of life. But to have reconciled the karma and have no outstanding balance or debt, and then intuiting the beauty of that, then extending that beauty out to everyone else. And this transforms human relationships into harmonious ones. Doesn't mean it brings all the differing opinions to the same opinion. But it allows for harmonious relationships despite the differences. And this is a microcosm, which we call our family. But then if you just start extending that out, that limited term of family, to its exponential form or conclusion, the next layer would be everybody you interact with. That's your family. And beyond that, it would also include everybody that you don't interact with. And ultimately, it includes almost all people. I would say the only people that it does not include are those grossly violating the cosmic law of free will and still in that cycle of creating bad karma. Karma that will have to be reconciled again, whether now or later. Another thought that might come up in the 0 point of the heart is the recognition of how beautiful this experience really is. Because in the midst of all the lower astral plane bullshit, there is still this. We could call this silence, even though it is not silent. At the same time, realizing there are many that cannot hear it. And this exists at every moment for every person that is in the moment and recognizes this. So nobody can afford to be spiritually lazy. Without missing this, without this slipping past without their notice. Without intuiting that this is our moment to break all those cycles and to have everything reconciled, balanced, and centered in the 0 point of the heart, which makes everything external, everything in the external world kind of obsolete as far as what if this and what if that and what about this and what about that. we can still turn within to this beauty, this harmony. And all of that stuff becomes obsolete because it ultimately has absolutely no bearing on where the saint is, where the sage is going. And what she is capable of. Part of the spiritual life is noticing the squirrels as they pass through the pine tree branches. Part of the spiritual life is being able to identify a woodpecker's calls. So this is just a morning meditative reminder and a call back to center. It's so easy with this matrix still all around us to get pulled away from center and towards places, people, and events where we would then be choosing to recreate cycles of karma. See, the ancient sages were very wise in that they knew that if they found a cave somewhere, or they went deep into nature, away from everyone and everything and all the cycles of karma that humans spend their time creating, that they could more quickly and more readily tune into that 0 point that is your gateway into a literal different world or experience. And the things that go on there are far removed from the ordinary world. And if any NPC heard about the things that goes on here and the things that are possible here, they would immediately cast a spell of doubt, and they would wrap it in a wrapping paper called Prove It, because they do not recognize that they're spiritually lazy, because you prove it, and only you prove it, for no one else can. So the spiritual life is the only life for the sage, for the saint, for the student, for the master. And for all those that are in the transition phase from this world to the next, and it has very little to do with your avatar dying. Although most NPCs will wait until that moment to even think about or consider these things. See, by the time your avatar's death comes along, you need to already be a master. You don't need to begin your courses for mastery on your deathbed. Why? Well, it's obvious why. Can some amazing things be done at that point of openness? Certainly. Can 5 lifetimes of bad karma be resolved at that place? Probably not. But all things are possible to them that believe and or know. So love, unity, and light, my friends. Until next time, and enjoy this wonderful, beautiful Sunday of your eternal spiritual life.